Welcome to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ask Me Anything. I'm spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White, and today is February 22nd, 2024. Wow, well, let me say hi to everybody. Oh my gosh. Hi, Caller Me Happy. Hi, Maureen. Hi, Christine. Hi. I think traveling from California to Florida, I think air travel is going to be just fine for those. All the planets are direct. It's a good time. Hi, Maureen. Hi, Wanda. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Dee Dee. Do you believe these temperatures? I mean, I know you're in Chicago and I'm in Wisconsin. It makes no sense to me that it's nearly 60 degrees and next week it's going to be 67 degrees in Wisconsin in February. It's like at one point it was warmer than it was in Los Angeles. That's just, I don't know. It seems very wrong to me on a lot of levels. Hi, Mike Vaccaro. Oh my gosh. So are you asking how to find a therapist? Is that the same way you find a music teacher? Very funny. And by the way, Mike is an extraordinary woodwind player. Extraordinary. Hi, Trey. Hi, Renee. Hi, Nettie. Hi, Karen. Hi, Kim Ann. Thanks for all those great questions, Kim. Hi, Dr. Susie. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Marge. Hi, Julie. Well, hi, everybody. Hi, Ellie. I could just keep saying hi to everybody. Hi. I'm so glad everybody got to join us today. So what I'm going to do tonight is we're changing it up a little bit. I'm going to have a topic every week. I'm going to start with the astrology. And so I always like to give everybody like a roadmap of what's ahead. And then we're going to go into a topic. So if you guys have topics, certainly, send them to me at, go to my website and I have you can ask me questions on the website. And so go ahead and find my email address and let me know if there's any like things that I can talk about ahead of time, because I think that my assistant would love that. We're thinking of topics like, what's an empath, how to deal with an empath, what's the difference between a psycho for a medium and a psychic, and I don't know, all kinds of basic questions that maybe a lot of people don't know. So, and tonight we're going to talk about how do you find a therapist? Why do you go to a therapist? What's the difference between different types of therapists? So I'm going to talk about that. And then I'm going to get into Ask Me Anything. You guys have written some great questions, and I know there'll be plenty of questions here and plenty of comments, and I'll answer as many as I possibly can tonight, okay? And we have a producer with us tonight, Ryan, who's wonderful, and Renee's in Hawaii right now. So I've got Ryan working with me, and I told him just to put his seatbelt on, so off we go. And Ryan actually made our cartoons. So he's something else. He's very special. So, okay, so let's talk about astrology right now, because people have been asking what is going on with this time period, because it's been kind of intense for a lot of people. So let me just say, and it's funny, I did 2 readings today for people whose birthday was today, February 22nd. February 22nd, 2024 today's been a big deal. And it's a big deal because we're having the first ever for the United States, the Pluto return. And it happens every 248 years. So there would be 3 exact natal positions, and one of them is today. So Pluto is the planet of deep transformation. So if your birthday is today, or if you know somebody whose birthday is today, expect their life to really be transformed in a deep way. This is going to be a big year for them. So today is a big day because for the United States charts and people in the United States, I feel that this is going to be a time of, again, political unrest or social unrest or some upheaval. And it will happen throughout as we get into March and April. They're also very complicated months. But the next time it touches exactly will be July 7th. And then after that, it's December 30th. So the whole year is in what we call a Pluto return. And again, it's only every 248 years. So it's a very big deal. And it really means to transform old, outdated ideas. and even maybe of yourself, of how you've thought of yourself. So this is going to be a very it's a very powerful time. And on February 24th, on Saturday, we have a full moon in Leo in Vedic astrology. And this is a huge deal because it is the sun is now in Aquarius in Vedic astrology. So the sun represents, and the sun right now, the sun is in Saturn. I'm sorry, the sun is also, what am I trying to say? It is in Aquarius, ruled by Saturn. And when you have that with the Leo moon, you have Saturn represents the government, karma, and the moon in Leo represents like the leaders, or it could represent, people in power, because Leo has a lot of power. So I would think that this is going to be a very auspicious time that we're in with this full moon. It could affect leaders. It could affect people that actually have high positions. Things can change. But it also means this. It means to have great power, because be brave. This Leo moon is all about being brave. And also it's about healing, and healing in maybe doing healing practices with, maybe deep meditation. This is when people ask, do I put my crystals out? Yes, this is a time to put your crystals out. It's a very important healing time as well. So I think the next few days are going to be very, very important, because also when we get to the February 28th and now February 29th, because it'll be February 29th this year, which will be actually a pretty magical day, and March 1st, when we get that just in a few days, we're going to have the Sun and Mercury and Saturn conjunct. It means they come together, and it's a very unusual conjunction. And that also has to do with probably government and things shifting and some changes that come up. So it also can bring some rebelliousness into the world. So this is going to be a very, I'm going to say, complicated, highly charged energy for the next several days. And then when we get into March, we begin eclipse season. We don't begin it yet. We begin it about 2 weeks before. So say around, say around the 14th or 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, something like that of March, we begin eclipse season. Because the first eclipse is March 25th, and that's a lunar eclipse, and that's a powerful one. And we have the next eclipse on 2 weeks later on April 8th, which is really enormous because it goes right through the United States. So we're headed into eclipse season, and eclipses bring change. So we'll talk about that more as we get closer. But just know, when people ask me all the time, what's going on? I mean, I get these texts or phone calls. What in the world is going on? Well, it's a lot. These are heavy, heavy aspects, but all the planets are direct. So the energy is, it will push you to do things, push you to grow, push you to study and to learn and to work hard. So this is it's an important time, extremely important time here. So anyway, there you go. So that was the astrology for the little lighthearted astrology for the next couple of weeks here. And now I want to talk about our topic, because my assistant Chris and I were talking about it, and a lot of people really don't know the first thing about how to find a therapist. And as most of you know, I am a spiritual medium, but I'm also a psychotherapist, a licensed psychotherapist. So I speak both languages, and people always are asking me, how do you even go in the process of going into therapy? What's that process like? Or how do you even find a therapist? Now, things have changed. So back in the day, before 2020, I had an office. People would come in and see me in the office. So Rick East asked me specifically, how do you do this on Zoom? I mean, how do you find it? How do you even relate to somebody, to a therapist? How do you know it's the right therapist on Zoom? Because a lot of people now have moved to Zoom because of COVID, and they never went back to their offices. So where do you even look for a good therapist? And so ultimately, how do you choose a therapist? So I'm going to start with this, which is pretty simple, but why do people go to a therapist? Like, why would you be needing to go to a therapist? There are a lot of reasons people go seek therapy. Maybe it's a relationship issue. Maybe somebody is going through a divorce. Maybe they want to save their marriage. Maybe they're recovering from trauma. Trauma is a big one. Maybe they've just realized, because trauma is such a buzzword now, that maybe they had some trauma, and maybe somebody said to them, you should go to therapy. And maybe people are starting to think, I should maybe check myself out. Maybe people are adjusting to a new life phase. So I have recently seen more people asking me about retirement, because that's a new life phase. So maybe your idea to go into therapy is to just check yourself out, your own mental health. Maybe it's just to talk to somebody. Maybe you're anxious and you don't know why. Maybe you're depressed, you don't know why. So these are things to think about, why people go to therapists. I mean, every once in a while, I would get somebody that would say, I just want to learn about me. It's like, oh, okay. Because the first thing a therapist is probably going to ask is, what brings you here today? So it's important that you kind of think, why do I need to go to a therapist, or why am I going to one, or why do people go? So, and I find this interesting, but researchers actually found that there's a bond between you and your therapist. And what happens is it actually has a big impact on your growth. So a lot of people, it's important to do your research, to ask the good questions, and pay attention to your own responses when you are in search for a therapist that's right for you. Another thing is, think about your goals ahead of time if you determine that you want to go into therapy. So a common goals might include, understanding your own mental health diagnosis. Let's say you think you might have ADHD, or, a teacher, somebody says you have ADHD. Now, often that can be, you can see it, a therapist can diagnose for this. There are definitely ways to diagnose for ADHD. Or let's say you might be on the spectrum somewhere. So even understanding, the goal might be to understand. And I will tell you, I have two of my closest girlfriends that were recently diagnosed with autism on the spectrum. And it was kind of mind-blowing for them, because they knew something, they were a little off, but they didn't really know what or how or what it was, and it actually was so helpful for them to see a therapist, to understand, what does this entail, and how come nobody got it the rest of my life? Because then there might be a sadness or grief about it, So anyway, these are some of the goals. Also, let's say you have some harmful behavior, or let's say you have unhelpful behavior. Let's say you want to increase your self-esteem. I mean, these are all goals. Let's say you want to improve the way you communicate. Maybe you just want to better understand you and what's good for you in life, and where's your life going. And maybe you're in therapy for grief. So there are a lot of different goals in mind, or ideas why people go also. So how to choose a therapist. So let me explain, because I hear this all the time. Some people will call me a psychiatrist, which is really hilarious, because I do not have an MD. My brother insists I'm a doctor. I am not a doctor. I mean, people don't understand. So there's a big difference. There's a difference between a psychotherapist, a social worker, a psychologist, and a psychiatrist. It's a difference here, okay? So psychologists have a PhD or a PsyD, a doctor of psychology. That means they will have gone to school, I think it's 4 years, and they do a 3,000 hour process with getting their hours in before they even take their license exam. They have to work with 3,000 clients, or they have to have 3,000 hours of working with clients, okay? And they often, psychologists can do testing. Psychologists do testing. So if somebody comes in and they need testing for ADHD, or testing for autism, or really well, not a psychotherapist can diagnose bipolar as well. There are certain things. Oh, you know what? The other thing is they usually can do with a PhD. They do some sort of. They do not prescribe medication, but they do talk therapy. But they also do a lot of research. A lot of psychologists, clinical psych, often will do some research work as well. But so you could see a psychologist. A psychotherapist has a master's. So I am a psychotherapist. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. So I have a master's degree, which is a 2.5-year program. But I also did 3,000 hours with working with clients. So psychologists and psychotherapists also do 3,000 hours. In my case, I ended up doing 4,000 hours because the licensure was not available in Los Angeles, in California, I should say. There were so many therapists there at that time that I had to wait an extra several months. So believe me, I had a lot of practice. And then there is a social worker and who could have a master's in social work, MSW, and they also can work like psychotherapists. Their training is slightly different, but they might help more in the social field with social work. But I have also known that they can see people as well in psychotherapy. So I hope that helps, because most people are going to seek out a psychotherapist. And psychotherapist is MFT, marriage family therapist, but they see individuals and all ages. So most people see a psychotherapist. Now, psychiatrists are a medical doctor, and so they go to study the brain, and they're the ones that can do medication. A psychologist cannot prescribe medication, okay? I cannot prescribe medication. Only people that can prescribe is a psychiatrist, or sometimes nurse practitioners can prescribe medication. Okay, I've heard about that. So you're looking at different options. Most people, again, if it's, I'm not going to say a simple problem, if it's something like schizophrenia or something like that, that would be best with a psychiatrist and a psychologist. That would really, if you're in that, if somebody has that situation, it would really not, it would not work with a psychotherapist, I don't think. It would be a tough way to go. I think it'd be better with a little more training on that one. So also, how do people find therapists? And this also goes with how do people afford therapy. So some people can just afford it, and that's fine. Not most, but not many people. Most people, I want to give this tip out. If you are looking for a therapist, find out, and I'm going to give you definitely places to look, but just remember this tip, that there's a sliding scale often that's offered. Ask if they have a sliding scale, which means if they are charging $250 an hour, can they give you a special rate of 100 or something like that? Ask if they have a sliding scale. Now, go to check out, if you're in the bigger towns, bigger cities, in the graduate schools, look for a therapist at the graduate schools, because they have potential therapists, and often these potential therapists will offer pro bono services because they have to get their 3,000 hours in, okay? So just remember that. Another thing is consult your insurance and see if anything is covered. Sometimes therapists take insurance. It used to be back in the day, we all took insurance. It's really not so much now, but there are some that do. So absolutely look to see if somebody does, okay? And as far as finding somebody, you might ask somebody that you trust if they can recommend, if they know a good therapist. But just because it's a good fit for them doesn't necessarily mean it's a good fit for you. So you can start with a referral. But here's another few options to find a therapist. Explore your community, because in the community they will have a university counseling center. That is also another place that people can get therapy, and at really, really reasonable prices, okay? Another place to go, and I have not discussed this yet, but if you're trying to find one, go to Psychologist Locator. Psychologist Locator. It's part of the American Psychological Association. And you put your zip code in, and you can look to see, who is doing what. Now, another one that I always recommend is traumahealing.org. That's specific for trauma and certain traumas. Absolutely, traumahealing.org deals with somatic experience. Go to psychologytoday.com, because you're going to see a whole bunch of different therapists that will be in your area that you might resonate to, because you'll look at their profiles and what do they specialize in. And another one is, which is a great one to look up, is the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. Okay, the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. That's a really good association to find a therapist. Okay. And there's also the Association of LGBTQ. And that's a great one if this is the case here. It's a great resource, okay? And some of the questions you might want to ask the therapist is, are you licensed in this state, whatever state you're in? How many years have you been practicing? That's a really good question. How much experience do you have working with people who are dealing with the issue that I'm having, whatever that issue is? And what do you consider to be your specialty? And they might say, trauma is my specialty. Great. Or anxiety and depression, eating disorders, they might say, and just remember, therapy is meant to be like a welcoming and an accepting place for everything. So some red flags for you might include, now again, often now a lot of this is on Zoom. Oh, before I forget, there are a lot of teletherapy now, a ton of teletherapy groups that you can go to online. Oh my gosh, just a ton of different types of therapy that is done online. Online therapy is a great one to look at, because they're going to have all kinds of things for you to choose from, different therapists that you can get right away, actually, with online therapy. So you might want to see and then explore them. So that option for you too, because that's a big deal. But so some of, you want to make sure, do you feel comfortable when you go in? If it's in a room, do you feel comfortable? Is it private? Is it secure? Are you experiencing overwhelming feelings of anxiety or panic? Because sometimes this is new for you, so that's like normal. But is it something, are you comfortable telling this therapist everything? So you really want to assess this. Is your therapist present with you? So I want to go back to Ricky's, you asked a question about Zoom. And really, what you really want to make sure is that the therapist on Zoom or wherever you are, that you feel seen, that you feel heard, and you feel respected during your session. Like, are they giving you good eye contact? Because that's really important. Are they engaged in what you're saying? Okay. I mean, if you see them kind of like floating over here, unless the dog is calling, we have to be very, very attuned to our clients. So we have to make sure that everybody's really attuned here. And you just want to make sure too that the therapist doesn't brush off or maybe invalidate your concerns, because I think that's really important. I had a therapist once when I said, would I ever do this again? And she said to me, oh no, you wouldn't do that. And of course I did right away. And it was like, she just totally, missed the boat on that one. And I don't blame her, but I wish she had taken a little more time with me, So anyways, so I hope this helps everybody, because there are a lot of ways to get in to see therapists now. And it used to be back in the day before 2020, we weren't even allowed to do teletherapy or Zoom. And when I moved from Los Angeles before COVID, everybody said to me, I said, what am I going to do? I'm going to And they all said, I said, well, my son-in-law taught me about this Zoom, and he said, you can use Zoom. And I'm like, I told my clients, oh, I'm going to use Zoom. And they're like, what? I'm not going to do that. You'll have to fly back every month. And I did, literally, until COVID. And then they all jumped on the Zoom bandwagon. So it was kind of funny. So anyway, oh, thanks. Regina says you love my necklace. Thanks, honey. I appreciate that. My dear friend gave that to me, and I love it too. So I hope that helps everybody with, how do you start going to therapy? Where do you look for a good therapist? They're out there, I promise. They're graduating. And some people, like when I went to grad school, I was a lot older. A lot of people are going older now. So anyway, and they've had a lot of life experience. And every once in a while, you get those younger ones that really smart and life experience. And you think, how in the world? And I'm telling you, they're out there. You just have to find the right one for you, the right fit. Okay, so I hope that helps everybody. Okay, so let me know your thoughts on all of that. And Betty Scott, I know you're a wonderful therapist upstate New York. So if, no, I don't think you're that far upstate, but in New York, if anybody is looking for a wonderful spiritual therapist and licensed psychotherapist, Elizabeth Scott, and you can find her on psychologytoday.com. Thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Renee. I know I love this combination of colors, right? I love it. It's my my favorite colors here. So, okay, now I'm going to answer a lot of questions. Okay, so here we go. Lori Phillips, she says, I've been searching for a long time to find a good therapist. I know that I can't do it alone. Not many psychologists specialize in grief and bereavement. Can licensed social workers do the same? Yes, they can. You need to look for psychotherapists that do grief and bereavement. Now, I'm going to give you an idea here. Go to grief.com if you have not yet. David Kessler has extraordinary a team on this site with all kinds of people that deal with grief and bereavement. That's their specialty. So go to grief.com, and I think he does have therapists on there, okay? Because and some social workers can do the same, absolutely. But again, because you want to make sure, do they work with grief? I've had therapists say, no, I don't work with grief. I'm like, what? So you really want to make sure that they do, grief is deep. If some people need a therapist that's not as deep, and some people need therapists that are really deep. So that's the way to go, Laura. You want to pay attention to that, okay? Yes, Karen Sweeney, it's a full moon. It's a great time to charge your crystals. This particular one brings healing, deep healing, and it just brings a lot of power, and courage and all of these things. So great one. Okay, it's just a great one. Lily, good evening. I'm so enjoy your insights. Thanks, honey. I've been struggling since I made a major move. I'm not sure where I should be. I am open to seeing a therapist, but I need help with direction. So often, let's say you've just made a major move. That's a major life change, right? It is a wonderful time to see a therapist, because therapists can be very grounding and really help you figure out the direction that you're going in. And I've been in therapy many times throughout my life, through different times, and it's really helpful. And sometimes we just need that extra help. Okay, so go for it. I think it's so perfect. I think it's so perfect for you. Everybody that needs it should be into therapy. Should go see a therapist. I think that's important. Okay, so I have a lot of good questions that I really want to answer. And I love this question. This is from Kim Snodgrass. Kim, I love this question. She said, the address of the stadium in Las Vegas where they played the Super Bowl, the address was 3333, which when I saw that, Kim, I was like, I saw that too, and I was stunned. What do these numbers have to say about a stadium where a big game like that would be played? 333, 3333 are all about the Ascended Masters. So the day of the Super Bowl, I thought, well, it's very protected. I would say 3333 is a powerhouse of protection there. That's my thought on it. So thanks for that good question. And I thought that as soon as I saw those numbers, I was like, wow. Okay, now there was a shooting a few days after that. It was at a different address. So I thought that was a great question here. Okay, Mindy Hammer, this was a great question. She said, this is a question about deja vus. So I'm going to explain that in a minute. She said, I used to experience them so often when I was younger. I'm 66 now and not so much. I wondered why this would be. Okay, I had to laugh, Mindy, because we're the same age. And I had to laugh at that because when I was younger, I had so many deja vus. Every so often I'll have one. But deja vu in French means already seen. Okay, it's a phenomenon of feeling as though you've already lived through the present situation. It's like it's an illusion of memory, like, but it's a real thing. I feel that it slips through the cracks of something that we have already planned and that we've already seen and we've already done. We've experienced it already. So I find them to be very real. Now, as we get older, does that mean that why would we have less? I don't know. It's a really great question. It just could be that, when we're younger, we need more. We may not need them now. Because I've asked that question too. I've asked that question a lot, actually. Anyway, okay, Vicki Nason. Hi, Vicki. Thank you, Kelly. You explained it all beautifully. Spot on. Thank you. Kelly is a phenomenal spiritual psychotherapist. Thank you, honey. Oh, I so appreciate that. Thanks, Vicki. I so appreciate that. And I do appreciate that. Yes, I do both. I'm a spiritual, and in fact, I should talk this. I do want to say this. Every therapist has a lens that they use. So the lens that most therapists use, it's kind of like a combination, if you will, of different techniques or different theories that they have. It might be Freudian, it might be behavioral, it might be cognitive. It's a lens that they view. So one of the questions you might say is, what lens do you use? And they might go, what do you mean? Well, how do you view me if I'm sitting in a room? And they might say to you, well, I'm very humanistic. So in my case, I'm humanistic. And so humanistic, I was an existentialist. I am an existentialist, which is, it's about the relationship, because I think that's the most important. However, I've got my bigger lens, frankly, is spirituality. And if you are watching the show, you might really want a spiritual therapist too. So, it's all of the above. It's all the above here. So, okay. So this is another question. And Kim Ann, I have to answer this question too. She says she's been watching Dr. Phil a lot. And so, Dr. Phil has been a psychologist on TV forever. And she said, number one, she wants to know what I think of Dr. Phil. And number two, so many people, it seems that he has so many people on his show that have medication, that are either prescribed medication by a psychiatrist. And she wanted to know, particularly for kids, and what sort of ramifications would there be in a child's mind when they're on medication. So it's a great question. First, what do I think of Dr. Phil? I think we're very different. He is a PhD in clinical psychology. I think he's got a lot of education, and I think he knows an awful lot. We just have very different styles, very different styles. Now, as far as medication goes, a lot of children now are, when they get diagnosed ADHD or hyperactive or on the spectrum or whatever, and often we really need to look at diet first. I think diet is really important, and we need to look at sleep patterns, and there's so many things we have to look at, because these kids that are coming in now are really uber sensitive, and so often they are put on medication so they can settle in a classroom, or they can settle in, and sometimes they do need it, and sometimes they don't. And is it going to affect the brain later? I would think so. And it's a really deep question, and I think each one is individually needs some help with that, because parents have it's a hard time. Oh, Laura, you just got home from your internship. Fabulous. And she's another one that's going to be a therapist. Oh, Isabel Sorelli. Hi, Kelly. How do you find a good spiritual therapist? Some guidance from my uncle, please. Well, let me get you a card, Talking to Heaven. Okay, from these James's cards, which I love. How do you find a good spiritual therapist? I'm a good spiritual therapist. I don't know how else to say that. You have to just look, ask them if they're spiritual. You have to ask them if they're spiritual. Okay. Evelyn, do I take new patients? No, I do not. I'm only licensed in California. So I don't have any more room in my practice. I really just do spiritual counseling now, and of course readings and mediumship. That's really what I specialize in. all of the above in that, but I don't take clients anymore. So, okay. But anyway, I wanted to give this. Life is a series of choices. Choose love. Okay. So that's from your uncle, Isabel. Choose love. Always choose love. Okay. I think that's a great one. And Vicki, I want to get a card for you, honey, since I'm right here. I will always point you in the right direction. There you go. From your beloved. He's always going to point you in the right direction. There you go. Renee Hounsel, Spirit showed me that deja vu was a pre-planned life moment. You're right. You're right. And we are to remember, picking in our life chart, that when we experience it, we are knowing we're on the right path. Like a life chart high five. Okay. I couldn't say it any better. Renee, that's excellent. Thank you for saying that. Absolutely. Thank you. Kay Cannon Delano, artificial dyes are especially bad for kids with ADHD. Right on. I mean, actually, I said that the other day, and my daughter goes, "Did you say right on?" And I go, "Yeah, I did." Yes, absolutely. Okay, I so appreciate what you said on that. And you have to really explore the food. You know, we are what we eat. And these kids that are coming into Earth now, I call them star seeds. Many of them are very different and really uber sensitive with sensitivity. So we have to really, watch them and nurture them, give them a lot of fresh air and a lot of time and creative ways to be with them. And they're different. Dr. Susie, Dr. Phil started off good. Yeah, I agree. Now he's a celebrity with a big ego. Yeah. I said, we think differently. I know. Yeah. So there you go. I think he absolutely has a lot of knowledge. I'm going to say that. Okay, and Margaret, ADHD support talk with Tara McGoldie. Okay, good. It's been around a long time. Free advice. Perfect. And she has expert counselors on her talk show. Perfect. There you go. That's a good resource. There you go. Okay. Christy, out here. Hi, Kelly. I have major neck surgery in the morning. You do. Can I have something from Abby, please? Absolutely, honey. You know she'll be with you. Your daughter will be with you. Absolutely. And by the way, it's so funny. James and I were just talking about surgery this week because he knows so many people that are having surgery. And even though these are like challenging planets, this is an 8-year with all the planets straight right now. If you're going to have surgery, this is the time to do it. Okay. I am just a thought away. Isn't that funny? Here you go with a little girl. That's your baby with her dog. There you go. She's going to be Maggie Landis. Yes, I'm going to pick a card for you. I'm going to pick a card from The Power of Love. The Power of Love. I love, you know what? This card just popped out. I'm going to do joy. You delight in the love of life and bring a spirit of fun to all that you do. I love that. I love that. Okay, hold on a second. Oh, Betty Marr, it's important to interview the therapist. That's what I meant. Absolutely. And ask if they offer a free consultation. You're right, Betty. I didn't think about that. Some do offer a free consultation. Yeah, some do. Not everybody, but some do. Good. Okay, this is a great question. Donna, my daughter is an MFT, and she can't talk to me. That's correct. As a therapist, she cannot, if that's what you mean. Because, in fact, my mother, who was a psychologist, and I had to get my license, and as you get your license, you have to see many people, and you have consultation, or you have people that are watching over you to making sure that you're doing everything right. And she couldn't be that for me either. There are laws in place. Yeah, laws in place here. Okay, laws in place. Okay, Marilyn McCormick, 9/13. Any thoughts? Yes. So September 13th. I do have some thoughts on that day. Hold on a second. September 13th is a Jack of Clubs with a 9 of Diamonds rising. So Jack of Clubs is in the brain. And first of all, if you're born during that time, you're here to help, because Jack of Clubs in September is all about healing and helping others, and a lot of creativity and helping others. And the 9 of Diamonds that it comes with is about completing a life cycle. So it's a very important life for you this time. Very important. Okay. Okay, Penny Coletzio, you are an anxiety therapist, or you need an anxiety therapist. I think that's great. There are therapists that specialize in anxiety, right? Absolutely. Okay, I think that's important that everybody, know that. And depression, because that's all very important stuff. Okay, so Jen Tran. Hi, Jen. She says, I've been her therapist. I had been. She said, I'm blessed with all you did for me. Oh, thanks, honey. When I was in California, she said, I'm physically healing, but emotionally struggling. And spiritually, I think I'm in the right place. You are in the right place, Jen. Let me get you a card from your beloved mom who passed away. Let's get a card for you, Jen. Okay? Let me get this out. And she says the following to you, sweetheart. Tears cleanse the soul. So if you went through a lot in life, and you're a very old soul. And by the way, old souls really take on a lot in one lifetime. Old souls do. And you can tell when you're an old soul and there's a lot going on. Taking on an awful lot. Okay. Sonia Mason, she says, good evening, Kelly. Is there a sign of my spouse around me? I've been so off balance. So, honey, absolutely. You're January 3rd, and you started the year actually with all the planets direct. January 3rd is a Jack of Spades, which is a very heavy-duty, deeply spiritual placement. Your spouse is totally around you. Let me get a card for you. It says, I wish I had told you more often how much I love you. But I will say this about this card. It matches my outfit. I love this color. Your spouse has got to have a good sense of humor. Look for hearts with your spouse, honey. Look for hearts, because that's a heart tree. I love that tree. I think that's a great one. Okay. Marilyn McCormick, does completing a life cycle refer to the end of reincarnations to this reality? I'm going to say yes. It does. When I say to somebody, you're completing a life cycle, it is about completing a cycle that you may have started thousands of years ago, on Earth. You may have started it on Earth. And so it's a completion of something. Yeah, definitely. It's a completion of something. Okay. So I think that's very, very great question. I do appreciate that question there. Okay. So, okay. I love this. Karen Abercrombie says, I'm composing music again. She said, I swear my late brother has something to do with this. Okay, that's so funny. And you're 1017 with this 5 of clubs. So definitely. So let me talk about this for a second. Our loved ones absolutely will inspire us. I taught a class last night on spirit guides with Jen Weigel, and it was a wonderful class. And there are different types of guides. And sometimes our loved ones come in to inspire us as a guide. Doesn't mean they're our guides, but it's a very important one. Okay. So, and thanks for this question. This is from Regina Joyce Clark. She says, Kelly, you're a spiritual medium. Does that mean you always get answers to your problems and obstacles from spirit when you ask? Do I know what my lifespan is likely to be? Okay. That's hilarious. No, the answer is no, I do not. No, I don't get, no. As James and I will say, we're just as surprised as anything when something happens to us, because we have to have our own experiences on Earth. I could see maybe for others. For me, no. Sometimes I know something will happen for me. I know it. In fact, often actually. But other things, no, I get the big surprises as like everybody else. I get the big surprises. And I've had some doozies. And I don't know if I'd be prepared to handle all the information anyway. Okay, here's a great question. This is from Ruth Strads. She said, Kelly, thank you so much for what you do. You're so welcome. My question is about mental illness. My older brother was diagnosed with borderline schizophrenia, that we know of at least. She said, it could be more. I can't think of anything more than that. He made my parents' life hell up until they died. He hated all of us in the family. So my question is, why and what lesson would anyone learn from hate? She said, I saw a medium before my brother passed. So they've all passed now. She said, my parents on the other side, they were trying to heal him with blue light. I believe they're all together now. My brother Glenn and my mom and dad are living happily on the other side. So let me just explain something. When you said borderline, so I'm going to take this diagnosis apart, borderline schizophrenia. So I'm assuming you mean borderline personality disorder with schizophrenia. So borderline personality disorder, and that's a whole subject. It means that when you hear me say, oh, borderline, they cannot regulate their emotions. So, one day you're good, one day you're bad. It's black and white, and they're all over the place. And nightmare to deal with, nightmare. Then you add schizophrenia with that, and schizophrenia, has a lot to do with hallucinations, hearing voices. They must be medicated. I mean, it's a very challenging. And so you said, like, why and what lesson would anybody learn from hate? Well, here's the thing. Your brother we choose before we come in. And you have to remember, when you're in a body, things happen in a body. Was there a brain injury? Was however this happened, is it trauma from family lineages? Often that will be, frankly, trauma from like 13 generations behind. And maybe he was here to show everybody, to play out the family drama, to play it out. There's always a reason behind something. So what would he have learned, and what would everybody else have learned? I can understand that your parents were probably terrified. I mean, it is a scary situation. And I've had families like this that have had situations like this. It's scary, and it's awful. But so you learn compassion. You learn, probably has learned about what mental illness is. He may be working as a guide on earth for people with this. So we don't know why somebody took that on, but there are reasons. The other thing is, once they're out of the body, out of the mind here, they go into the spiritual realm, the spiritual nature. Their mind, they're not schizophrenic any longer. Now they'll have to, go into a lot of healing. There'll be a lot of healing on the other side for them. A ton of healing on the side for that. Oh my gosh. But that's a big one, because it, would upset the whole everything. So I would hope that you're taking good care of yourself with that, because it's a big deal. My gosh, that is a big deal. Okay, so let me get some other questions here. Okay, Jen Chris, I'm sorry. She said, I asked you about my sister-in-law and she was in a coma on your last show, and the brain damage was great. I'm so sorry, honey. She passed. I'm sorry. Let me pull a card for your brother, Doug, and his birthday is October 15th. I will do that. October 15th is a 7 of clubs, so he's here to really become much more spiritual, frankly, and overcome negativity. But let's do a power of love for him, okay? Let's do a card from the power of love for him. Here we go. Okay, cause and effect. You are aware that the love you create in your thoughts is an agent of change and the foundation of your results. So again, as I said, coming to work about letting go of negativity. So I hope that helps a little bit. Okay. Melissa says, hello, Kelly, and I have a question. She says, why do my spirits come to me when my parents are not home and they are shy and bashful? I even hear notes, and when I say something, they say nothing. I even see spirits walking in my house, and I hear them call my name whenever I sleep. I don't know. I'll tell you what, Melissa, I think you should be definitely going into some deep meditations and finding that out. I think that's a really good idea. Okay. Okay, Adeline. Hi, Adeline. You'd love a mini reading or a card. Okay, and you are 6/16, and June 16 is Ace of Diamonds, Queen of Diamonds. Ace of Diamonds, money or love, and a Queen of Diamonds really makes you appreciate value. I think value is very important here. So I hope that it helps. Slay Hill, Kelly, I've been in therapy 3 times and have stopped after a few sessions because it has caused me to become more angry, and it did not seem to help. Why would I feel extremely angry? I don't know, Slate. That's a great question. I'm not sure what was going on. Did you not get your needs met? What are you angry about? Did the person make you angry? I mean, I have to say the funniest story, but one day I went in to see a therapist and I almost ran out because I walked in and he looked identical to my ex-husband. And I was like, whoa, no, this is not going to work for me. I'm out. So I don't know what the thing is, what was triggering you. Only you would know that. But June 30th, but you know what? You raise a good question. I would explore that. I'd explore what you're so mad about. What is it? I think that's important. And you're a King of Hearts, 2 of Hearts. Oh my gosh. So you really are about taking, power here. King of Hearts is powerful, and the emotions. So definitely get to the heart of why do you think you were so angry? Who are you angry with? What's going on? That's what I would do. Okay, Reiki B. Kellee, you are such a blessing in this world. Thanks, honey. Thanks for all you do. Oh, you're so welcome. Well, Reiki, let me get you a card here. Here we go. Kindness. It's perfect. You are a humanitarian, made of love, and you are able to share that energy with others. You just did. So thank you, honey. I appreciate that. Okay. All right, Denise. Hi, Denise. I'd like a mini reading if you have time. 12-7. Yes. So 12-7. 12-7 is a Jack of Clubs and a King of Clubs. That means this. Power, power, power. That is, they're both male brains. Jack of Clubs, King of Clubs, male brain. Extreme psychic ability here. I hope you're tapping into your psychic ability, Denise. I hope you do, because boy, oh boy. I mean, that's just a very big one. I think that's an important part. Okay, Tammy Freisman. I wanted to answer this. She says, Kellee, this is my favorite part of the week. Thanks, honey. She says, I love listening to your show. My daughter is pregnant, and her due date is 9/11, and her birthday is 8/20. I was wondering if you can tell me if her pregnancy will be smooth. She worries constantly. Please tell her not to worry. This is a very special baby that's coming in. She's going to be fine. September 11th, although, you know, that's a big day, it also is a King of Clubs day, September 11th. So September 11th is a powerhouse day. King of Clubs with the Jack of Diamonds. Whoo, that baby's powerhouse here. Powerhouse here. Just tell her to relax. It's all good. She's a 6 of Clubs. So 6 of Clubs tend to worry in general. They tend to worry, but just keep her really calm. It's going to be fine. It's going to be good. Okay. I think when you have a baby, you know, there's a lot that goes on. You know, you just start thinking all kinds of things, but she's going to be just fine, sweetheart. Okay. Okay. I love this question from Jan Randazzo. She says, Kellee, I have so many questions, but the first one is, why didn't my husband have a near-death experience when he died 2 times after he had cardiac arrest before he arrived at the hospital? She said, because he has no memory of anything and he does not believe in NDEs, so let alone mediums. Okay, so you don't have to even, many people had near-death experiences that woke them up because they had no belief. And then all of a sudden, I mean, the greatest example is, what is his name? The doctor, this medical doctor. What kind of doctor was he? A major doctor here. Ibn Alexander, Dr. Ibn Alexander. Read his book, but he didn't have any belief in this. It doesn't. Some people have near-death experiences. Not everybody. Not certainly just because you die a couple times and come back. I've known many that have, but there are some that just don't want to wake up or didn't have that experience, or, you know, they just want things the way it is. The way they are, I guess. Okay, Alicia Ann would love a reading for my son. So he just started therapy. First of all, bravo for him. And his birthday is 5/16. So May 16th is a really challenging day. It's a 3 of Diamonds day. 3 of Diamonds is it's a hard placement. We choose our birth dates before we come in. It is a powerful one. It means I'm glad that he's getting therapy when he's younger, because it'll help him understand his emotions and his feelings and all kinds of things, okay? It's a powerhouse day. I'm betting that your son is very creative, because these dates during that period, that there's a week there, that are so created, okay? So Donna says, Kellee, my MFT daughter terminated our relationship 2 years ago. She's 1/6 and you're 2/4. Is there anything I can do to pull you back together? Okay, so she's a therapist, and but she terminated your relationship. So her birthday is January 6th. January 6th is an 8 of Spades. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. 8 of Spades. 8 of Spades are powerhouses. I mean, serious powerhouses. And you're 2/4, February 4. Okay, this is really funny. How's this possible? You're both 8 of Spades. Oh my gosh. You know what? You made my night, because I'll be thinking about this all night. 2 8 of Spades going after each other? Oh, this is so karmic. It's so karmic. Donna, it's like I want to say everybody cool their jets, you know, like put away your guns. Just do nothing but send love, okay? Because you're both powerhouses. And sometimes when the mother is alive, they still, they're trying to make their own way in the world, and they have their ideas and this and that. And, I'm sorry. Don't worry, Donna. Oh, I hear you, honey. I mean, that is going to make me laugh, though, honestly. It's like two titans going after each other, and so karmic. Oh, my gosh. Well, don't worry. It eventually will work itself out. I'm sure it's part karma from past lives. I'm sure of it. Kayla is Elizabeth. Hi, Kelly. Since I was a child, I've dreams of things past and present that have and do happen. Is this some sort of psychic ability? To quote James, you think? Yeah. Yes, it absolutely is. Is this some sort of psychic ability? Absolutely. She said, when I was 10, I had a dream that our family bathroom was on fire, and then found out later on that a young boy that had lived in the house years before had set the house on fire. Okay, so your birthday is October 18. Okay, so, honey, I'm going to say it like this. Welcome to my world. You and I are both 4 clubs. 4 clubs. I'll be darned. Imagine that. Both of us are 4 clubs here. So 4 clubs, we are born psychic, okay? It's funny, as soon as I read that, I started laughing. I was not laughing, but I mean, I can't, in my book, when my book eventually comes out, I tell a lot about when I'm young and the psychic phenomena that happened and the constant knowing of things. I mean, it's no wonder I was nervous constantly, because I could see things coming ahead constantly. And one of the things that I saw coming ahead was the back of our house burning. And it happened. Yeah. So, and you're 10 years old. Yeah. And when this happened, okay, sweetheart, write it all down, Kayla. You're definitely a psychic. Start to either take some classes in it so you understand what's happening, bless your heart. And just know it's an extraordinary life. An old soul comes in with a lot of knowledge like that. And again, it took me years to get up here. You will get there. You'll get there. You'll learn, and you'll start to write down your dreams, write down the thoughts that come up. As my mother used to say to me, I'd say, oh, I know this is going to happen. And it would. And she'd say, okay, write it down. And I'd write it down, because it makes you a little nuts. You just want to make sure, or tell somebody, that is good and kind and compassionate to what you're saying. Okay. Because you have a gift. Yeah, you're gifted. No doubt about it. Okay. Kelly, it's almost time to say goodnight. As always, you are a shining star. God bless. Ellie, let me give you a card, honey. Release. You have the ability to give over unwanted energies to the loving forces of the universe. That is for you. Okay, Chrissy, I'm going to do this, my last one, 4/9, April 9. April 9 is a Queen of Diamonds, 3 of Spades. So Queen of Diamonds is about, they have a tougher road too. You have to really pay attention to who you allow in your life, okay? Queen of Diamonds has a discerning eye. Boy, they can discern the shit out of things, but you have to really be mindful of who you allow in to, right, Reiki, both 8 of Spades. I mean, that's just mind-blowing, frankly. Okay, Kathy, I'm going to do one more. Kathy Weber, can I get a card for my son? 3/5. So, yes, March 5th is a 5 of Spades. And 5 of Spades is all about healing. And I'm sure and 5 of Spades does this, Kathy. 5 of Spades is kind of fascinating because they come for experience. Good experience, bad experience. Their soul literally comes to have experience. So think of this as the time that he will have this experience, and then he'll move on to the next experience. Okay. Robin, you're at 4 club. Yeah, 428. Yeah, 428 is a 6 of clubs. Clubs are warriors. Clubs are warriors. We can't help it because there's so much psychic information that comes around us. But anyway, everybody, I've got to end tonight. So join James and me on Monday. We're going to be talking about resilience. What is it like to have resilience in life? And really, we need resilience because to keep going, we need to be resilient. So we're going to be talking about resilient and all kinds of things on Monday night. So please join James and me at Both Sides Now and Beyond. And I'll see everybody here next week. So thanks for joining me, everybody. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.